Good morning, boys and girls. I hope you're doing well this morning. The first story that I'm going to read is called Pigs, and it's by Robert Munsch with the art done by Michael Marchenko. Megan's father asked her to feed the pigs on her way to school. He said, "Megan, please feed the pigs, but don't open the gate. Pigs are smarter than you think, so don't open the gate." "Right," said Megan. "I will not open the gate. Not me. No, sir. No, 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 no." So Megan went to the pig pen. She looked at the pigs, and the pigs looked at Megan. Megan said, "These are the dumbest looking animals I have ever seen. They stand there like lumps on a bump. They wouldn't do anything if I did open the gate." So Megan opened the gate just a little bit. The pigs stood there and looked at Megan. They didn't do anything. Megan said, "These are the dumbest looking animals I have ever seen. They stand there like lumps on a bump. They wouldn't even go out the door if the house was on fire." So Megan opened the gate a little bit more. The pigs stood there and looked at Megan. They didn't do anything. Then Megan yelled, "Hey, you dumb pigs!" The pigs jumped up and ran right over Megan. Whop, 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 and out the gate they went. When Megan got up, she couldn't see the pigs anywhere. She said, "Uh-oh, I am in bad trouble. Maybe pigs are not so dumb after all." Then she went to tell her father the bad news, and when she got to the house, Megan heard a noise coming from the kitchen. It went oink, oink, oink. "That doesn't sound like my mother. That doesn't sound like my father. That sounds like pigs." She looked in the window. There was her father sitting at the breakfast table. A pig was drinking his coffee. A pig was eating his newspaper, and a pig was peeing on his shoe. "Megan," yelled her father, "you opened the gate. Get these pigs out of here." Megan opened the front door a little bit. The pigs stood and looked at Megan. Finally, Megan opened the front door all the way and yelled, "Hey, you dumb pigs!" The pigs jumped up and ran right over Megan. Whop, 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 and out the door. Megan ran outside and chased all the pigs into the pig pen and shut the gate. Then she looked at the pigs and said, "You are still dumb like lumps on a bump." Then she ran off to school. Just as she was about to open the front door, she heard a sound. Oink, oink, oink. She said, "That doesn't sound like my teacher. That doesn't sound like the principal. That sounds like pigs." Megan looked in the principal's window. There was a pig drinking the principal's coffee, and a pig was eating the principal's newspaper, and a pig was peeing on the principal's shoe. The principal yelled, "Megan, get these pigs out of here." Megan opened the front door of the school a little bit. The pigs didn't do anything. She opened it a little bit more. The pigs still didn't do anything. She opened the door all the way and yelled, "Hey, you dumb pigs!" The pigs jumped up and ran right over Megan. Whop, 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 and out the door. Megan went into the school. She sat down at the desk and said, "That's that. I finally got rid of all those pigs." And then she heard a noise. Oink, oink, oink. Megan opened her desk, and there was a new baby pig. The teacher said, "Megan, get that dumb pig out of here." Megan said, "Dumb? Whoever said pigs were dumb? Pigs are smart. I'm going to keep it for a pet." At the end of the day, the school bus finally came. Megan walked up to the door and then heard something say, "Oink, oink, oink." "Oh no," Megan said, "that doesn't sound like the bus driver. That sounds like a pig." She climbed up the stairs and looked in the bus. There was a pig driving the bus, pigs eating the seats, and pigs lying in the aisle. That one's swinging on the bar. A pig shut the door and drove the bus down the road. It drove the bus all the way to Megan's farm, through the barnyard, and right into the pig pen. Megan got out of the bus, walked across the barnyard, and marched into the kitchen. She said, "The pigs are all back in the pig pen. They came back by themselves. Pigs are smarter than you think." And Megan never let out any more animals. At least not any more pigs. I think she's thinking about picking that lock for the elephant, don't you think? The end. That was funny. Okay. The next one is by Patricia Polacco. and it's called My Rotten Redheaded Older Brother. So that must be the girl, and that must be the rotten redheaded older brother. We'll see. I bet you he's not that rotten. My brother and our mother and I all lived with my grandparents on their farm in Union City, Michigan. Now my babushka, my grandmother, knew lots of things. She knew just how to tell a good story. She knew how to make ordinary things magical, and she knew how to make the best chocolate cake in Michigan. After she told my brother and me a grand tale from her homeland, we'd always ask, "Bubby, is that true?" She'd answer, "Of course it's true, but it may not have happened." And then she'd laugh. Now I knew she loved me all right, but I couldn't quite understand how she could even like my older brother Richard. He had orange hair that was just like wire. He was covered in freckles and looked like a weasel with glasses. The one thing that my Bubby didn't seem to know was how perfectly awful my brother really was. Mind you, he was always nice whenever she was around us, but as soon as she'd leave, he would do something terrible to me and laugh. There were so many things I couldn't stand about him. The worst was that he was always telling me he could do just about everything better than I. "Bet I can pick more blackberries than you," he jeered at me one day. "No, you can't." "Can so." "Cannot." "Can," he whispered. "Not," I said louder. "Can," he whispered so loud, so low that I could barely hear him. "Not," I screamed back. We both picked berries for most of the afternoon. Well, he upped and did it. He not only picked more berries than I, he set a record that wasn't even challenged for the next 10 years. "You make me sick, Richard Barber," I yelled at him. Then he smiled the smile that only a rotten, red-headed older brother could smile. I guess I would have to face it. He could run the fastest, climb the highest, throw the farthest, sit the longest, get the dirtiest, burp the loudest, and spit the farthest. He had no equal, certainly not me. "And I'm 4 years older than you, always have been, always will be," he sneered. There had to be something I could do that he couldn't. Then an inspired thought comforted me like a fresh breeze on a hot summer day. "Oh, Richie," I cooed as I stood next to the rhubarb bushes, "do you like rhubarb?" "No," he said, "it's the sourest stuff on the planet." Now I knew at long last that I had him. "I bet I can eat more of this raw rhubarb than you can without getting the puckers," I challenged. "I don't think so." "I do." "I don't," he said, narrowing his eyes. "I do," I insisted. "Don't," he hissed, looking smug. "Do," I said furiously, as I grabbed the first stalk and started chewing it almost down to the leaf. When I couldn't get one more sour bite into my mouth, he was still eating with relish. "I thought you said you didn't like rhubarb," I said through pursed lips. "I don't like it." "I love it," he announced as he popped the last stalk into his mouth. I was so mad. I couldn't even feel how my belly was starting to ache. "I can't stand you, Richard Barber. I double dog can't stand you," I screamed as I went into the house to be consoled by my grandmother. "Yeah, and I'm 4 years older than you, too. And I always will be, you little twerp. I always have been, and I always will be." And then he laughed that rotten, red-headed older brother laugh. That night at dinner, I could hardly eat. "Have you been eating angry apples again, child?" Bubby asked as she sliced me a huge wedge of rhubarb pie. "I baked your favorite." Richard gave me one of his extra rotten weasel-eyed, greeny-toothed grins. At bedtime, my Bubby came and sat on the edge of my bed like she did every night. "Look, a falling star," she said. We watched it streak across the sky. Then she spit twice between her fingers and gave her chest a loud slap. "Why did you do that, Bubby?" I asked. "I was making a wish. Didn't you know that wishes on falling stars come true?" At last, I knew how I was going to get back at my brother. For the longest time, I watched the dark sky until I saw a star shoot right across the night. Then I spit between my 2 fingers and slapped my chest. It was done. My wish was to do something, anything, better than my brother. I'd show him. The next morning, all I could think about was my wish. I was thinking about it so hard, I almost didn't notice the wagons and trucks pulling into the field down the road near Four Corners. "A traveling carnival," my brother shouted as he ran toward me. "They're setting up right here in our field. Bet I can eat more hot dogs than you can," he teased. He was already starting it. But this time I was going to do something so incredible that even he would have to sit up and take notice. I had a star wish. I'd show my rotten red-headed brother all right. That night I ran straight for the merry-go-round. We must have taken 50 turns on that carousel, but then my brother got off. I stayed on. I went around and around and around. I knew I could do this longer than any of you, I shouted to my brother, feeling proud and just a bit dizzy. "Tricia," I heard my bubby call out, "get off from that thing. It's time to go home." The last thing I remembered was stepping from the platform. Next thing I knew, I woke up with Bubby sitting on the edge of my bed. Mom and Grandpa were there too. "You gave us all a fright," Mama said. "How do you feel?" "What happened?" I asked. "You fell," my rotten red-headed brother announced with the biggest grin on his face. "I don't know what we would have done," my Bubby said softly. "Your brother carried you all the way home, and then he had to run to go get Dr. Lee." "You had to have stitches. I watched it all," he said excitingly. "You fell off the merry-go-round right into some pop bubbles," my Gramps added. "You even passed out," my brother chirped. "Looks like you finally did something special." It was from that exact moment that I knew our relationship had somehow changed. "Thanks, Richie," I said to him. "What's a big brother for anyway?" he said, blushing. That night, we were all out in the yard. On hot Michigan nights, it was my family's custom to sleep outside where it was cool. "Look at those stars," Bubby said quietly. "Wishes are funny, aren't they?" I said. "Sometimes they come true differently than you think they will." "That's why you have to be very careful what you wish for. It just may come true," said Bubby. Then she squeezed both of our hands. "Hang on to the grasp," she whispered. "Why, Bub?" my brother asked. "Because if we don't, we might float up to the stars." Then she leaned over and kissed us both 3 times. "I kiss your eyes, and I hold both of your hearts in my good keeping. And this night I thank God that I walk this earth with both of you. Amen." Then we all just lay on our blankets in the gentle summer night. "I'll always be 4 years older than you, though," my brother whispered softly, and then he smiled. All of us held one another's hands, and then we all drifted off to sleep. And these must be photographs of the author, Patricia Polacco, with her brother when they were older. There you are. See, there's the brother, and she's 4 years younger, but she's looking up at her big brother. Well, that was a good story, and the older brother was not as nasty and rotten as she thought he was after all, right? That's how it is sometimes with siblings. So thank you very much for listening and watching this morning, and have a great day.